What is up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome to a very rare edition of the Group Meeting podcast here on fanboysanonymous.com. We haven't done one of these in 2 years, I think. The last one was the Disney one. Yeah, so it's been a while.
2 years ago. Stop it.
I think it was 2020. I don't remember for sure, but it might be. It might be like December 2020 or something, so not quite 2 years, but nevertheless, I'm your host as always, Tony Mango. Joining me is Robert E. Felice.
Hey everyone, we're a two-man group, not to be confused with the Blue Man group.
And the Group Meeting icon has 20 different dots around it, but that would be too crazy for a podcast. Instead, it's just two of us.
There was a time, I'm sure, where you had at least 7 or 8.
We probably had 10 on a podcast at some point. I don't remember for sure what the limit was, like the highest amount that we've ever. It's probably somewhere around 10 or 11. And I learned my lesson because you get people all talking over each other and everything, and who's going to want to be up at 12:20 in the morning to talk about this stuff other than Rob and I, and that's what we're doing here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, what we're going to be doing is similar to that Disney Investors Call group meeting that we had done before. It is a breakdown of San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Neither of us were there, but we did check out what some of, if not most of the important things that had happened there were. Obviously, we can't see everything. We haven't looked at everybody's list of the best cosplays and all that other kind of stuff, but the big announcements, the reveals, the news, the scoops, trailers, those kind of things. And I'm sure that there's things that I've checked out that you haven't. I'm sure that there's information that I don't know. All that good stuff. And of course, if you are wondering what we have to say about something and we don't mention it, drop it in the comments. Tell us your thoughts on what you liked and what you didn't like and everything else that's going on like that. Do the same thing that you do for every single YouTube channel out there that you like. If you are listening to this on YouTube, at least hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Ring that little notification bell. Click that join button if you want to get access to the members only content, like the bonus features here. Or you can support us through Patreon, patreon.com/fanboysanonymous. Or you can pick up some merchandise on TeePublic and Redbubble, or just click that little thanks button. Toss a buck our way. Let us know that you really appreciate it by just, opening up the wallets and sharing a little spare change. But if you are listening to this in general, that helps out a lot too. So keep that watch time up. Play other things too. Click on ads. Do all the good things. But yeah, tell us your thoughts on what we're talking about here by leaving a comment. If you are listening elsewhere, like Amazon Music or on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or such, then send a tweet or post something on Facebook or whatever. Just let us know. Keep the discussion going. Join one of the other dots of the group meeting that you're not here. So Comic-Con, I've never been to San Diego. You can see on the channel that we've been to New York Comic-Con in the past, which isn't as big of a deal, but it is still, I guess it's number 2 essentially. Never been to San Diego Comic-Con. If I would have had like some press pass or something like that, I wouldn't have gone this year anyway, just because of the way that things were, whatever. But as far as Comic-Con goes, to me, a lot of people are like, I go for the autographs, or I go to get these special collectibles or whatever. To me, there's nothing that catches my attention as far as the collectible side of things or even the cosplay. It's not my,
you don't give a shit about celebrity.
No, I've never cared about celebrities in any fashion whatsoever. Most of my experiences with celebrities have been, if I say anything at all, it's like, hey, and that's it. Just, hey, you're whoever. Here's a card if you want to do something with me, But I would have been curious to see like the Severance experience. That would have been kind of cool. Or yeah, I'm sure I would have seen like some interesting cosplays and stuff. But to me, it's mostly what are the reveals for the movies and the TV shows, even the comic side of things. Like I don't read comics, so if somebody goes, man, there's this great new story coming from some blah, blah, blah.
I always want to get Comixology and just have that, if I'm bored, I can just I could just put through a comic book like that. I had DC Universe for the longest time, just out of sheer just unwillingness to log in and cancel after the good shit was moved to HBO. So I would occasionally read a Nightwing or Batman Beyond but then I finally canceled it because you only allow that 7.99 to be taken out of your account for so long.
I did see that there's like Norman Osborn is the Gold Goblin now or something.
Okay, that's lame.
And I guess Jonathan Hickman's going to be doing a new big crossover story, which the last bunch of Jonathan Hickman stories have been major to the MCU. So now I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. What's going to be the story that we get for 2035 or something in the MCU? A lot of stuff I'm sure as well are just not on my my fandom level. Like I can see on this Solar Opposites is getting a Halloween special. I have no idea what that is. The Keanu Sans continues with Berserker anime adaptation. No idea.
Okay, so I know what Berserker is, and I assume the Keanu Sans is Keanu's playing. Yeah, he's gonna play him because we're still in that phase of like remember E3 like 4 years ago or 3 years ago when he said you're breathtaking and like everybody fell in love with Keanu Reeves for a bit there.
I mean, there's a long list. I like Keanu too. Yeah, he seems like such a nice dude. Like one of those rare celebrities that if you met, you'd feel better afterward rather than disappointed. And I'm sure a lot of people, of course, care about things like Archer, which I've only seen about half an episode of. I've been told I would love it, but just never bothered to watch it.
The cartoon?
Mm-hmm. Never bothered to watch full episode.
I saw a few episodes of season 1. It's one of those ones where I think if I went back now and watched it, I'd probably like it. But I'm so lazy.
Do you have any interest in Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai?
You know what I have interest in, Tony? Original content. Please stop. Please stop. No, listen to me. I'm dead serious. Stop. Stop. What are we doing? Make new things.
And they collectively shout back, no.
Am I wrong? Like, make something new, man.
I'm of two opinions about it. I love when somebody takes IP and they make something out of it, but I hate when they just go, that's a thing that existed and that means that it should make money, as opposed to, let me try to do a better version of this, or I've got this brand new idea. Like, I mean, I just mentioned Severance. Brand new.
Severance is fucking great.
And it's like, it's fantastic. But there's not many of those things that really stand out and catch a whole lot of attention. So it is something that I don't think San Diego Comic-Con really would be interested in checking out. I'm sure the only reason why Severance got anything is because it's season 2. But like, if you're not like, there's a Dragon Ball thing. I don't follow Dragon Ball at all.
I do. That's probably more for my speed. I know they're coming out with a new movie next month, probably in a couple of weeks. And I know that they're coming out with a new game in October. I'm gonna have no money in October, and that's gonna blow. But I'll get there when I get there. It's Dragon Ball is one of those things where I'm terrible with like new anime, but like I grew up on Dragon Ball. It's like it's same thing with video games. I will buy a Donkey Kong game, full stop, no matter what, because I grew up with it. But I won't like follow the latest and greatest with video games. Same thing with anime for me. So as long as they pump out Dragon Ball, I'll always be interested.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember. I mean, I'm not a gamer as it is, but that gap between the PlayStation 2 and the Switch, when I didn't own any consoles, I don't honestly remember seeing a single video game that really made me feel like I was missing out. There were things like, the Arkham games where I was like, oh man, it'd be cool to play that game, or it'd be fun to play this new Star Wars game or something before The Last Jedi came out and ruined everything. And then, different things like that. And I remember that there was like some game that I think it started with a P, where it was like a free roam kind of game, and you were basically sort of Venom, but it wasn't Venom. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think it might have been called something like Parasite or something, where it's like a guy basically had like a symbiote costume. And
Parasite sounds right, but I can't remember.
It might not have been something like that, but it might have been. I don't know. It was like that like PlayStation 3 era, I think. And I remember seeing that and thinking like, oh, that looks pretty cool. It's basically like, offshoot rip-off Venom thing.
Prototype.
I guess that would say it. Yeah.
Yep.
But nothing else. I mean, when they go into the gaming things or when they go into the TV things, a lot of this, it's like, yeah, well, that's an investment to get into a lot of TV shows.
Yeah, honest to God, I am like, that's my mentality with TV now, where I'm just like, I said this recently. I said there's so much to watch, yet the investment is so taxing that I'm just gonna put on this thing that I always watch. Because it's like, I don't want to have to get invested. Took me forever to watch Stranger Things.
So good though, isn't it?
By the way, lay off Mike. I think people were ridiculously hard on Mike for not returning feelings that he just doesn't have for a certain character.
Yeah. No Stranger Things in Comic-Con. That's because it just ended and they've got like 2 years before the next one's going to come out, which is like, come on. But yeah, there were a lot of things on here that if I'm looking through this list that maybe some people would be like, you didn't talk about this or that, or like, I'm not a Star Trek guy. I think that the 3 movies that came out were pretty decent. In particular, the first and the second one were good. Well, the first one more so than the second one. First, then the second, then the third. They dipped in quality, but I've never really liked Star Trek, and I can see why people love it if that taps into what they're into. But I've always found it a little boring. So when there's like Picard season 3 or Strange New Worlds or Lower Decks or whatever, to me that stuff's like, that would be the biggest thing for a lot of people. To me it's just like, oh cool, another Star Trek, all right, I'm not gonna watch it. But I feel that way about Lord of the Rings too. I did check out the trailer for Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and even though it's only a trailer, I got so bored that I turned it off.
Good Lord.
Because I was just like, oh, okay.
How'd you do with the trilogy, the original one?
First one, Fellowship, I watched that at home, not knowing anything about the series. And I was like, you know what? This is pretty fucking good. I like it. I'll check out the next 2 that are supposed to be coming out. Second one, I'm finding myself going, okay, half of this movie is just kind of walking around. Like they make fun of in Clerks too. Like they're just sort of walking. The other half was great. Like the stuff with
the action half?
Yeah, the action half. The oh god, what's the dwarf's name?
Ooh.
Well, I can think of as Pushkin because it's the same guy, John Rhys Davies. Gimli, right? I think it's Gimli.
I'm almost certain you're right, but I'm gonna make sure of that before I sign off on something.
Pushkin would have been better.
Yes.
Like the Gimli and Orlando Bloom stuff. I'm forgetting his character's name too.
Not. Oh my god, he's
Legolas.
Archer.
Legolas.
Yeah. There. We go.
Like that stuff was a lot of fun. The trees, not a fan. And you get to Return to the King, then I'm like, all right, we can kind of trim some of this stuff. I don't really care about some of these side characters that get introduced, and we're trying to flesh out their stories and everything. But overall, the 3 movies, I was like, these 3 together, pretty good. I'll watch The Hobbits. And the 3 Hobbits, I watched them all, but each one I was just increasingly like, fuck this.
I don't care.
Like, because they're just sitting there, oh, let me introduce you to these 416 different dwarves. And this one's Bipple and Bopple and Sniffle and Snoffle and whatever. And I'm like, can you all die now? And then that'll be fun. Can the dragon just come and eat everyone and then have the 3 good characters that are interesting or something? But the Rings of Power just felt like it was really hardcore audience type material. The ones that really like the elves and the magic and the this is an enchanted sword from the whatever region of the realm of the man stuff with that. And I'm like, all right, no. It's going to lead to Lord of the Rings. I already know what happens.
So you hit on something that I want to talk about. Hardcore fan content. Because in the thick of the era of like we're making everything for the hardcore fans, and piss off if you want something that would appeal to everyone or just like people who aren't familiar with the product. Do you think it's time to like broaden that a little bit? Like, do you think it's time to, start making shows that aren't just for the biggest nerds?
I think it depends, because some things I feel like you go into it knowing that that's the purpose. Like, I would never, I didn't bother to see the trailer for this, but Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I have no idea what it is. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. I have no interest in ever doing that. For those people that do follow that, I want that to be like the nerdiest D&D jizz fest you could possibly have, because then they'll enjoy that. But for other things, like that, there's a Teen Wolf movie coming out, I guess, another reboot of that. If you're going to play up the super fans of Teen Wolf, you're playing to a small audience. So I don't think it's worth it for that.
Yeah, I just like, not everyone needs to be a hardcore nerd for everything. And I get like, that's the point of bringing things back, and I get it. But it's also like, I think you're alienating a bigger world.
I would hope that everything, especially if it's like a TV show, for instance, I would hope that they would approach it with the idea of twofold. What can we do that is honoring whatever it is that came before it and making those fans super happy? But then let's also shut off those goggles and approach this from a brand new person. Can we make something that's interesting to somebody who has no ties to it? For instance, like, I've not seen Fuller House, even though I watched Full House all the time as a kid. Because at this point, I'm like, I've realized how fucking lame Full House was by watching. You watched a good portion of it?
I did watch a good portion of it.
If it's got the same tone as the older show, I wouldn't watch it because I'm not 5 anymore. But if it's totally different, then I can understand why everybody would be upset about it. So I'm sort of like, it's a tricky game to play.
It's one of those things where I wouldn't suggest you watch it. I like when they do spin-offs that are actually like, hey, now it's their kids and you can continue that story.
So yeah, like they did Girl Meets World or something.
Yeah, and as big a fan as I am of Boy Meets World, I've never just sat down and did the full run through of Girl Meets World. I should probably do that eventually. But like shows like that are fine, They help expand things. Now I think like what Disney has done to Star Wars is just like squeezing every last drop of anything, marketable out of that franchise. And some of it's good, like
Mandalorian's good.
Mandalorian was great. Mandalorian, I think, saved the perception of Star Wars. Obi-Wan was pretty good. Book of Boba Fett, I didn't really care.
Obi-Wan had the equivalent of 2 good episodes over the course of the 6 of them. But those two were, holy shit, it's Anakin and whatever. And then that was, they could have gotten away with doing a non-story at all. It was supposed to be a movie. Actually, it was supposed to be a trilogy, I think. And it never should have been a trilogy. It never should have been 6 episodes of a show. They should have cut out about 50 to 75% of it and just made it like, you introduce Obi-Wan, he gets called to go protect Leia. He gets Leia on that planet or whatever. They get attacked, and then he fights Vader. And then that's it. People would have lost their shit. It would have been amazing. Take out Reva, take out the stupid fake deaths and all that. That's a rant for another time. Star Wars sucks now. But no Star Wars in this one, I think, at all, because they just saved that for Star Wars.
Well, they had that weird Grogu robot. Did you see that?
No, what was that?
it was just like this weird, like it was a robotic Grogu. It was very lifelike. It could like perk its ears up and do something with its hands. I believe it's like $100,000. It's ridiculous, but it exists and was there.
I'm taking a look at some of these other things that happen on here. We're saving some of the big talk for later. Like, obviously, people would be like, well, how come, you're 20 minutes in, you haven't talked about Phase 6 yet? But there's a Season 2 of Chucky. I didn't see the trailer, but I had kind of half watched that Chucky season. It was typically on after, like, NXT or something,
yeah.
I just kind of kept it on in the background, and I'm like, this isn't great. But then again, it's Chucky. What the fuck was I expecting?
You care about Chucky?
No, that's I've seen two.
Maybe your wife?
Nah, she's not all that much into it either. Yeah, she's more into like
slasher.
She's less into the slasher type horror stuff, more into the other things like the psychological horror and the.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think someone. Never mind.
I mean, she does have the whole like I could put on a horror movie and that'll calm me down. I still don't quite understand it, but
I don't understand that at all. How?
Yeah. But there's that. They're gonna do a spinoff of National Treasure, and it's not gonna have Nicolas Cage. So it's like, why fucking bother? The whole point is that he's the one leading that. I'm not gonna watch a National Treasure with somebody else.
With I'm telling you, man, original IP. Because like I'm gonna go back to it. Severance, so good. You know why? We have nothing to base it off of.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it might have been a book or something. I don't know. I don't think so, but. Then again, I'm not fucking reading that. I don't read.
Okay.
I had a whole discussion with Caroline about that because I always say about how much I hate reading, and she's like, "But you write," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't read it." Like it's like I hate books. The whole like over there he shouted, excited at the morning whatever, blah blah blah. Hurriedly he ran to the thing, and then let me explain all that. And, books are annoying, but Walking Dead final trailer. Walking Dead still going on?
Bro, yeah, exactly. Thank God it's the final trailer.
Didn't that like reach its basic end like 6 years ago?
Yeah, I don't know how that is still going.
That's a show I could not get into. I watched 2 episodes of it and I was just like, okay, I get it. People go nuts because characters die and they don't know when that's going to happen. So they're hooked onto the show with this like
and you're into this
roller coaster
because he's the bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
And you like this one because she's the feisty, she's the feisty chick who didn't take no shit. And this one was a little meek and now she's strong and trope. I get it.
Yeah, seems like that, and possibly even Game of Thrones because I didn't watch any of that. But it seems most of it was people going, "I don't know if somebody's going to die on this episode, so let me get into that and go, whoa, they killed the one off. Oh my god!" But I did see some trailers for some other things, though. I saw the Sandman trailer. That looks cool.
Yeah, I like this. Hopefully it'll be actually good on Netflix because Netflix, or it's Stranger Things, Netflix has some stinkers too.
Yeah. And I am not somebody who's ever read the Sandman comics. Caroline, of course, much more into that than I am. Not only because it's reading, but also she is more into the horror-y stuff. But it does look like it's interesting. I'm definitely going to be checking that out.
Yeah.
And speaking of Game of Thrones, there's a House of Dragons thing. I think that's Game of Thrones. That big middle finger to that. Let's see. I'm just
George
looking at
R. Martin said something to the effect of, "I don't want to be Stan Lee." At some point, like he just became, he was an old man who's happy to have cameos, but he didn't get any say in the actual content he wrote.
Huh? Did he finish his books yet? Was not supposed to be a thing.
Yeah, I think that's he hasn't finished books yet. I don't know. Game of Thrones is really not for me.
So they're gonna do another adaptation of Interview with the Vampire. I didn't see that was the thing. Huh.
Boo, for the reason that I've mentioned twice on this podcast already. Please do something else.
Yeah, a TV remake. Who's it starring?
This fucking thing of like, hey, you like this property? We're gonna stretch it out now, and it's gonna be episodic.
That way we can get you to subscribe to our service for a little bit over a month.
I don't care. I saw the movie and know what happens. No. It's episodic now.
Now we get to waste time exploring characters that didn't need any more time dedicated to it.
You know what needs to be episodic? I think this might have been a dark cast. But at some point recently, we spoke about Grease. All right? Grease is the most disjointed. I went back and watched it after we talked about it. Grease is the most disjointed movie I have ever seen in my life. The characters run the gamut of emotions in 90 seconds. That movie falls apart hard. If you're going to make something episodic, it should be that. That's besides the point. I don't need Interview with the Vampire.
Guess what streaming service this is going to be on?
Peacock.
No. Give me two more guesses.
Paramount Plus?
Nope.
Hulu.
AMC Plus.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
There's apparently an AMC Plus.
There is an AMC Plus. You know how I found out about that? I was sent a Blu-ray of season 1 of a show called Kin, which is an AMC Plus series, because I have a buddy that writes for a fandom website, and people enter these contests, and then they don't give their accurate information. So he said, "You want this DVD?" I said, "Sure." So that's how I found out there was an AMC Plus. That's ridiculous. You don't need an AMC Plus. Stop it.
It's just going to get folded into another one anyway, so why even try, you know? And I've never heard of these people. It's like it's starring Jacob Anderson, Sam Reed, Bailey Bass, and Eric Bogosian. Ooh. I mean, they might be great. I don't fucking know. But you're not...
They're start somewhere.
You're not selling me on star power at the very least. Feel like, oh man, the Jacob Bogosian, or that's not even the guy's name, Eric Bogosian, Jacob Anderson, the of those two, those guys. But let's talk about some of the things that actually are things that we could actually get into. On the TV side of things, I could see that we've got Zack Snyder's going to make a cameo in Teen Titans. That'll be kind of funny.
That's good.
I saw the trailer for I Am Groot. Did you check out that little thing?
I did.
Which is just like sell plushies.
It's 6 episodes, right?
Is it 6? I don't know.
For like a little
6 shorts, I think.
Yeah, it's come on. You know what I want to focus on here. The X-Men 97. All right? Like, yes. This is what we need. We need full-blown animated series adaptations of things that were good. So, give us more of that. Magneto's going to lead the X-Men. That's super fucking cool.
Makes sense, because Xavier is with the Shi'ar Empire, I think, right? He goes off to, like, heal in space or something. Right. I gotta fucking rewatch that series. How many episodes are that? Is that...
It's a good 5 seasons. I know season 5 falls apart.
Probably like something about like 70 to 100 episodes. I don't know. If I ever get the time, we'll be doing a deep dive on that. But that was, of course, one of my formative shows as a kid. That was amazing back in the time. And I'm glad that they've got Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, Wolverine, Beast, Rogue, Gambit, Jubilee. You got the main core team.
What you need.
You got a couple extras though. Cable's going to be a somewhat bigger part. Forge, which is like really Forge. Okay. Morph, another one that's like I don't know. Sunspot, nah. But Nightcrawler, awesome. And we got some Bishop stuff. Bishop and Cable. I've always thought Bishop and Cable need to just be one character.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just make much sense?
I agree with that statement.
Then again, I guess he can't really be like, oh, well, Cable is the son, and then, he can't be quite the same because it's an apocalypse thing instead of this, but it's like, they fulfill the same basic plot. It's just, I am big muscular gun guy from the future trying to stop the end of the world. So, merge them together. Urge to merge.
But love that urge to merge.
I love that they were showing off the characters and being like, this guy's come back, this guy's come back, this one's come back, this person's doing this. And they're like, oh yeah, also here's some Sentinels and stuff. It's just kind of, you all want to see this shit, and it's great. I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
That looks cool. I love the idea that Magneto is going to be the leader of the X-Men, because that's kind of like, okay, well, who's going to fill in for the Brotherhood? Looks like we're going to get some Hellfire Club stuff. So I guess they're going to kind of be the opposing main antagonists or something. But man, fall 2023.
Yeah, can we just can we skip to that? I'm ready for that now.
There's let's see. It's not connected to the MCU, and this is weird, but Spider-Man freshman year.
It's gotta be. It feels like it's connected to the MCU. Because it's like they specifically said it's taking place before No Way Home.
That's weird because
before the first one, Homecoming.
And it's like they showed some kind of a shot, I think, of Norman Osborn replacing Tony Stark for that whole meeting in Civil War. But what doesn't make any sense is there's Chameleon and Rhino and Dr. Octopus and all this, and it's like, all right, well, that can't fit into the MCU.
How do you like the I like the art style of that.
I didn't see too much of it. I saw mostly still images, so I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not over the moon about it, but I'm up for anything animated.
I'm interested to check this out though, because it does seem kind of like they're going with like weird names for some of these. Like Butane and Unicorn are in this. As opposed to just being like, okay, we're going to do Electro and we're going to do whatever. So if they can play around with that a little bit, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man is one of the best characters. And honestly, even though I fully believe that they don't make animation to appeal to kids anymore, they make it to appeal to adults that grew up with cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything that could potentially get kids into the medium would be nice.
I think that this could be one of those things. Because, animation is really a much easier way to get a kid to watch something just because it's bright, it's colorful, and if it doesn't have the weight of like, all right, well, if you're watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you're going to have to watch all these movies leading up to it to really care about anything and all that. You just pop a kid in front of a Spider-Man cartoon, the kid's going to end up being like, this is fun. I like it.
Yeah, that's how I got into superheroes. You watch a Batman animated series and you're like, I care about these characters now.
You know what I don't care about?
Tell me.
Captain fucking Carter. What if season 2 is going to focus again, like another whole list of things that don't seem all that interesting? This show has been such a disappointment because they could have had like these great ideas of like, what if the other half had been snapped away? That would have been really cool. I would have been interested to figure out like, what would they have done if, Tony Stark couldn't have created the time travel stuff? And what if, we couldn't have had that group trying to solve everything with Endgame? And instead, season 1 saw like, what if T'Challa was Star-Lord? And I'm like, what? Okay, sure. Let's make Marvel Zombies lame instead. Although they did say that the Marvel Zombies TV show is going to be TVMA. So that's cool.
That's
Looking forward to that. But the list, I'm trying to find the list right now of the what if season 2 ideas. They sounded so bland. I know one of them was what if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper from season 1 of What If. Like, I really don't care about that.
Well, why aren't you the one making these decisions, Tony?
I don't know. People just have the wrong idea. They should be they should be hiring me for these.
I'll keep the faith just because, like, maybe if this does okay, we can get a season with like actual fun what ifs. I have to assume this is all leading to something because a lot of these things are intertwined. Maybe it'll be like, hey, you remember this thing from What If? Well, now because we're in the multiverse saga, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, the multiverse saga. They officially declared it.
Maybe. It's actually happening. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, maybe.
They also said, for anybody who doesn't, spoilers for Multiverse of Madness. You should have seen it by now. What the fuck? I don't care. The whole like Captain Carter fighting not Black Widow, Scarlet Witch. People are like, oh, well, the What If one, she would have kicked her ass. It's like, you guys really like Captain Carter, don't you? But that made people go some crazy about that. I was like, all right, if this is all we're getting, this is going to be really lame. Because at this point, when I saw the trailer or the information for that, not much else was coming out. And I'm like, man, this is going to be one of those years where they don't reveal anything at all. And that's their idea of like, well, we showed you that it's going to be this for What If Season 2. Thankfully, totally wrong. They ended up revealing a lot of good shit.
They revealed... honestly, imagine if, like, well, we cover wrestling. Imagine if they just stood on stage and were like, "All right, you want to know what you're getting? Here's the next 3 plans for WrestleMania, including bookmarks of what we're gonna do for SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and Rumble in between those 3 years." That's insane. That's an insane amount of preparation.
So you haven't seen some of these things, but we're gonna give you some time to check out some of that stuff. Maybe do like a little, not quite a live reaction because I can't show that on the screen. But before we get into the Marvel stuff on the movie side of things and the TV, like, the good stuff, I should say, there were a few things on DC, and I've seen plenty of articles at this point that are like, woof, DC got its ass handed to it by Marvel. Because DC's like, we got a Shazam Fury of the Gods trailer. And I'm like, okay, looks good. Like, we got a new Black Adam trailer. Like,
Rock shut up in full regalia.
But it's like, is that it? And it seems like that's kind of it.
You know why? Because they're doing the fucking Nintendo. And Nintendo doesn't really do E3 anymore because they have their own direct. They're like, yeah, but we got DC fandom, so up yours.
Right.
SDCC.
Even though Disney's got D23 coming out in September. And they were still like, you know what, we're going to give them something. I'm assuming that the gaps that they're going to do, that they're going to fill those gaps, and that's going to be really cool. But, and we'll talk about those gaps as well. But the Shazam movie, did you see that one?
I did.
What did you think about it?
All right. Like, I'm not a Shazam guy, but like,
yeah,
it looks fun.
Oh, the first movie was decent, so I'm going to be checking that out no matter what, and it looks like it's just as good, so cool. But Marvel started to kick some ass with this. The She-Hulk trailer came out, second trailer that we've had, She-Hulk Attorney at Law.
I saw Daredevil.
Daredevil pops up in that, and Daredevil's having a hell of a time here. Daredevil is in the Spider-Man freshman year. Daredevil is going to be in this. And they announced that Daredevil's going to get an 18-episode series about, like, following kind of what they had done prior. I don't know if it's going to, like, fully 100% keep that canon, but Vincent D'Onofrio is back for it, so Kingpin's continuing on with that, and he's going to be in Echo. They confirmed that. So Daredevil's all over the place with this, but Daredevil Born Again, I'm fucking down for it.
I'm all for it. And it's going to be more edgy, even though it's on Disney Plus. That's good.
I liked hearing that news. I liked the She-Hulk trailer. That still hasn't sold me 100% on it, especially because these TV shows haven't been fantastic. But
Yeah, and you don't like comedy. You did not like WandaVision, and WandaVision remains my favorite.
I like the comedy, but I don't like when they go a little overboard with it. And then it makes me feel like they're more concerned with jokes than they are about telling a good story. But She-Hulk looks like it could be a lot of fun, and it could be potentially pretty good too. So I'm looking forward to that one. Then they started hitting with a lot of heavy hitting things. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. You check that trailer?
Yep.
Now, I have been saying for a while, I wish that they would have just recast, because I think that that would have made more sense. But the trailer's fucking great.
I mean, for some reason, I don't think we should ever get a T'Challa again. But they have been completely respectful to Chadwick Boseman. And yeah, the movie looks like a lot of fun.
As far as the debates go, I'm seeing a lot of people going, well, who's the next Black Panther? We still don't know and everything. I wrote up my thing before about the predicting the plot of Black Panther. I still think that might kind of be maybe where they're going. Long and short of it, my prediction was I think that they would start off with the death of T'Challa. I thought it would be an attack from Atlantis, but now I'm getting the sense that probably isn't the case. And I think that you're going to get basically the whole like Atlantis has been attacking Wakanda. They want some kind of like vibranium thing or something, and they don't have a Black Panther. They don't have a king. What do? All these people are not necessarily fighting for the crown, but they're kind of like, we got Okoye, who could be still with the Dora Milaje, or maybe she could be Black Panther. I don't know. Nakia's got to do something. I don't know what she's up to. Shuri, I don't feel like it makes a whole lot of sense for her to be Black Panther, but then again, it makes sense in some ways. I just don't think that, like, how's she going to learn how to be a fighter, And hearing like Queen Ramonda being like, I've lost my entire family. Is that not enough? And like, man, he really did. T'Chaka dies, then T'Challa dies, then he comes back. I mean, Shuri blipped out too. They come back, then he dies again. Then all this, like, whoa, this is rough. But yeah. I loved the way that the trailer went. I've never been a Namor fan, and he actually looks like he could be kind of cool, which is really weird.
They did it again. The water heroes are really just having a renaissance in the modern age.
It's because they were like, hey, this is really dumb. How do we make it not dumb? And people are like, oh, look at that. It's not dumb. Because Namor's so stupid looking. The guy wears like a cod piece and has wings on his feet. So ridiculous. And they made him like this whole Aztec sort of thing. And so that's looking cool. I'm hearing so many rumors about a certain character popping up in this movie. And I'm like, makes a lot of sense. I don't know anything for sure, but I'm hearing a lot of theories that Doctor Doom is behind everything.
Well, we've got, what have we got? To like January of 25?
Yeah.
For Fantastic Four. So Doctor Doom starts setting up for that. And honestly, we need a big bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been like, I sent you the meme not that long ago of watching the MCU movies since the end of Thanos is like just playing the side quest after beating the game.
Right.
So we need a big bad, and I'm good with Doctor Doom.
So the current lineup of what they've got going on, some of these are brand new announcements. Some of these are ones that they finally gave a little bit of a date for. They kind of shifted around a couple things. We've got coming up next in the MCU, if I'm not mistaken, because we got what is it? Ms. Marvel's already done. We just took care of a couple other things here and there. Just double checking that my list isn't right. So it's She-Hulk Attorney at Law is next. And they still haven't said what the October Halloween special is, but it seems like it's kind of Man-Thing or Werewolf by Night or both or whatever. Surprised we didn't get more from that.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that.
We got the Black Panther Wakanda Forever thing, which of course we just talked about.
Which ends phase 4.
It ends phase 4, yeah. Kind of strange, because you figure phase 1 ends with the Avengers. Phase 2 ends, technically speaking, with Ant-Man, I think. If I remember correctly. And then it's yeah, because I think it's Avengers and then it's Ant-Man. Or Age of Ultron, I mean. And then phase 3, of course, ends with Spider-Man, because it's, you know, the one after Endgame, but like, I don't know. I mean, we don't get a big crossover film for phase 4, but then again, they're rushing all these other ones, so it's kind of phase 4, 5, and 6 basically seem like it's one phase to me.
It was kind of it wasn't a major crossover, but that had its crossover elements.
A couple here and there, yeah. But we got
you're talking like a major, like all right, let's end it with the Avengers and all that shit.
Right, yeah. So they didn't say anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special from what I had seen.
No, I didn't see anything about that. And the full Marvel, I watched the full Marvel panel.
And they didn't say anything at all.
Nothing at all about that. I'm looking it up now. Yeah, phase 2 ends with Ant-Man. Phase 3 ends with Far From Home. These phases grew exponentially.
Yeah. So then we got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and I have not seen any footage online yet about this because they just keep taking everything down. I wish I could see it, but we got a couple things confirmed. It seems Bill Murray is going to be playing an alien that's inside the quantum realm. That
will be fun.
Had some sort of relationship with Janet in there. So we're going to hit Bill Murray flirting around with Michelle Pfeiffer, which is funny. And we're going to get MODOK and Kang in there. So they're really setting up Kang from Quantumania. And later on, as they announce some other things, it makes a lot more sense. We got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Which everyone was super emotional on that panel about that movie. And I just think that that's very sweet.
It seems like that's going to be a tearjerker. People were talking about crying all the time about it. The people are saying that like the trailer itself was making them all like teary-eyed and everything. I saw a lot of little baby Rocket Raccoon things too.
I was gonna say they basically said they're building it all around, hey, Rocket Raccoon is the saddest creature in the universe. That'll be fun.
A little bit of information about Secret Invasion, not too much, but that's coming out spring 2023. So actually, that's probably coming out before Guardians. Now that I'm thinking about that, I probably have to shift that around.
Yeah, it's Quantumania, Secret Invasion, Guardians.
Then Loki season 2.
Nope, then Echo.
Both are listed as summer 2023 from what I could see. But yeah. Okay. So one of them, then the other one. Echo is something, I don't know why she needs her own TV show. I did not like that character.
We're just bleeding these cows dry.
Really? We could do that with Blade. Because he's got a sword. That is November 2023. In July, we've got The Marvels, which not much more information about that. In fall, we've got Ironheart. Not too much more information about that one. They've changed the title of Agatha House of Harkness is now Coven of Chaos.
That sounds better.
I'm kind of like 50-50 on it. But more than anything, I'm sitting there thinking, why does Agatha need her own show?
Tony. Because let me tell you when they decided Agatha needed her own show. They released an episode of WandaVision. And then the next minute, everyone was saying,
it's Agatha all
along. And
they're like, we can capitalize. Yeah.
That's, well, because what else does she need her own show for? That's exactly right. Why. And then
Uh,
Daredevil, because good things are good.
Daredevil Born Again, which, fuck yeah, that's great. No confirmation about anything with Jessica Jones or Luke Cage or Iron Fist or Punisher. So,
Do we need Iron Fist? Come on.
I mean, it'd be good to put the character somewhere in there, but I was really hoping that we would get some sort of an announcement of a Luke Cage and Iron Fist team up and just call it the Heroes for Hire show. But they could still do that. There's still some blanks in the lineup. And there's a new Captain America movie confirmed. We had heard Captain America 4 was going to come out. They're calling it Captain America New World Order. I've seen so many memes already of the WCW and WO.
Like, that sounds like a biopic, which is ironically being played by Thor, of Hulk Hogan. And that's what I think of when I hear Captain America New World Order.
That would be Mr. America New World Order. Before talking about some of the other things that are coming, there are other trademarks that they didn't say anything of. And some of them I'm going to bring up when we try to figure out what the blanks are. But some of them were just very specific Captain America things. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if they're just alternate names. Because one was Sam Wilson Captain America. And I was like, I'm glad they didn't go with that. Because if the movie's Sam Wilson Captain America, that's pretty bland. The other one, though, well, I mean, there's also technically, there's Nomad. So I'm like, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But there was also Captain America Red, White, and Black. And I had the same reaction to it. I was like, oh, I don't know.
I opened my mouth to say that was bad, and laughter came out.
Just like, it could work, but I don't know. That's a little dicey,
Yeah. We're not ready for that.
Yeah. So after Captain America, they essentially said what they're going to round out Phase 5 with. The Thunderbolts.
Interesting.
And I'm like, this makes sense. We've gotten some people that it would make sense to put them in the Thunderbolts team. I think I read up an article about it. I don't remember for sure, but like Ghost from Ant-Man. You got U.S. Agent from Captain America and the Winter Soldier. You've got Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, I was saying the show.
You've doomed me. I've now looked through the Marvel trademarks, and now I'm just imagining what all these things could be.
Right, we're definitely going to talk about those. So, Thunderbolts is going to essentially be their Avengers movie for Phase 5 without the Avengers, which is kind of strange. And we got the Marvel Zombies thing, so that's another thing. But I think it's interesting as all hell that they're going to start off Phase 6 and that they announced it. They were just like, hey, let's talk about Phase 6 as well. And it was like, okay, fuck yeah. They're going to start it with Fantastic Four. And the only other things that they revealed are the two Avengers movies that are going to end.
They're closing it with
Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, and Avengers Secret Wars. And they're going to come out the same year, May and November.
Woo.
So I'm like, okay, first things first. Good. They're doing Secret Wars. They're not going to waste any time. They're going to get it done as soon as they can. It's only 3 years away. Doesn't that seem kind of crazy?
Yeah, I mean,
technically not 3.5 years, a little close to 3.5 years because it's November rather than July. A little 3 years plus. We're going to be on Avengers Secret Wars already. People are like, oh my God, they're rushing everything. And it's like, no, it's just because people don't want to have, contracts for 20 years working on these movies. It makes sense to do it.
And my God, like we are rapidly approaching the 20th of Iron Man.
Right. So that's like, you kind of need to speed off some of these. But that really speaks to the idea that Kang is going to be set up as this big bad, but I still think that it's all going to be, at the end of the day, Doctor Doom.
I am so excited for Secret Wars because again, we were just talking about, you know, TV shows and how Spider-Man the animated series kind of got me into Secret Wars because of like the abridged version that they did, but looks like it's good for Doctor Doom.
So they have gaps.
Well, yeah.
And these gaps are pretty much entirely in phase 6. But there's projects that they've said that they were working on that they didn't say anything about. We've known about Armor Wars for like 2 years. And I'm like, are you really going to wait until phase 6 for Armor Wars and you didn't announce it? Wouldn't that make one of those things where you're like, okay, you know, we're also going to have Armor Wars in here and whatever, because you've already announced it. You're not spoiling anything.
Well, how much room is there in phase 5?
The only thing I can see them doing in phase 5 that they haven't announced yet is throwing another Spider-Man movie out there. Because they don't announce the Spider-Man ones. For anybody who's curious about that, that is the partnership with Sony, so they can't really just be like, and Spider-Man this is happening. They can't do that. But I guess they can technically, but Sony's like, fuck you, we want to do it. You know?
I just had an idea. And it's along the lines of Secret Wars. But we got to get to Galactus, don't we?
The Galactus thing's interesting because they've not said anything about it. But Fantastic Four could either go with Galactus or they could go with... I mean, you would assume if they're going to go Galactus, Silver Surfer would be involved because I don't know how you do one without the other. But they could go with Annihilus. They could go with Mole Man, which would be kind of weird. They could go with just Dr. Doom. I think it's going to focus more on Doom. But
I think it would be smart to focus on Doom, but I also think Galactus as a surrounding bad or like the big bad after Doom makes a lot of sense.
You figure we got a Celestial in Eternals with the whole like the Earth is breeding a Celestial. That was the point of Galactus to a certain extent, was to eat these planets and stop these Celestials and to, you know, be that part of the universe. But nobody talks about the fucking giant stone creature in the ocean. All these things that are set after the Eternals, nobody mentions it. Like, technically speaking, Spider-Man No Way Home is after Eternals. And people are just kind of like, you know, we're changing the Statue of Liberty. And it's like, yeah, it's cool and everything, but what about the giant fucking alien stone creature?
Well, we're getting there. I have to assume that he's going to play a huge part in Secret Wars.
Could be. I mean, there are movies that they had said that they were going to do Eternals too. I don't want them to. That movie sucks. But that could be one of the blank ones. There's supposed to be originally a Wakanda TV series. Kind of feeling like maybe they might have scrapped that.
I'd be surprised if they did.
I think it might.
I guess the TV series.
But it might have been one of those things that they planned on doing that involved plans that they needed to change. Because you figure, I mean, true. They didn't plan on T'Challa not being a part of that. So it could have been like, hey, we want to do a whole separate series about Okoye or something. I know that they've talked about that there's a Scarlet Witch movie. They didn't announce that. A solo Scarlet Witch movie. I don't know what the hell that movie would be, though.
Can you do that? Like, you can do it, but can you do it now?
Right. I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking that she might be the way that they stop the Secret Wars. I don't know. We didn't get any Young Avengers.
Huh.
Isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah. But again, we have so much time.
But you don't have too much time for you to be able to still keep doing Young Avengers. You get certain people that are going to be closer to 30. Are they really Young Avengers anymore?
Fair point.
Because I'm thinking like Yelena Belova, Kate Bishop, maybe Bradley from Falcon and Winter Soldier, that Patriot, that character. Maybe Wanda's kids if they ever bring them back. Like there's kids and stuff, but like Spider-Man, he's gonna be 27 years old.
Wanda's kids back? Well, I guess the multiverse saga.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing about nothing about Shang-Chi 2. But they did trademark Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time. So
that sounds like it fits.
It sounds like it too. And any of these could just be names for like, we're going to do, a comic series or something. But Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time.
Oh, wait a minute here. Kevin Feige addresses Young Avengers MCU future. This is from CBR.com from Kevin Melrose. And I'm just going to read this quote. We're sort of reminding people of all the amazing characters that we have introduced in Phase 4, he tells MTV, and sort of where those characters go and how they form their own cliques. So, kind of a non-answer there.
Totally non-answer.
CBR.
Things are happening. They are stuff.
Thank you for the quote.
Maybe Young Avengers is a plan for Phase 6. I don't know. It's kind of interesting that the Thunderbolts are going to be doing their own thing without the Avengers, but then there's no Avengers movie at the end of Phase 4. So, I don't know. I was kind of thinking that Young Avengers might end up being the end of Phase 5. And then when they went with Thunderbolts, different story. But Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time seems like that could easily be one of those announcements that they go, and in Phase 6, we're going to get Shang-Chi 2. And that's called that. I like the title. That's pretty cool. Pretty badass. Yeah. The Wreckage of Time. I saw one comment on, I think it was Reddit, and they were like, why does this fuck so hard? There's also the Black Knight Origins, and I'm thinking that probably makes sense for a Phase 6 title, along with Midnight Suns. Just because it's like, hey.
Well, Midnight Suns, hold on a minute. Did they trademark that for movies, or did they trademark that for the game that's coming out in October?
I don't know. These are just trademarks that I had came across recently.
Are you not clicking on them to make sure that they're for...
I didn't bother to read them, no.
Yeah, God. Well, as someone who goes through trademarks all day long, this is the first thing you have to do.
I would assume that they probably would have trademarked Midnight Suns beforehand for the game, but maybe they're just getting around to it. I don't know.
Midnight Suns. So this was trademarked back. Yeah, this is trademarked back in February, and it is for non-downloadable comic books and graphic novels. So this is just reaffirming that property because the game is about to launch in October.
Well, I think that they could have gotten away with, and maybe they still might. I don't want to see like Blade 1, Blade 2, Blade 3. Blade's not an interesting enough character for me. But if you got Blade and Ghost Rider and Moon Knight comes back and, all these like the mystical dark horror things, if you put them all in one Avengers type movie, totally down for that.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for just that grouping of characters in the game. So I'm also just, excited to see what else they can do with it.
You got Hercules Rise of the Gods.
Okay.
And that might be just, a comic book story or something too. But that's something could be potentially a movie in the future too. Some of these things I think are just them doubling up on certain things, because we got like Timeless Saga, Eternity Saga, Avengers Timeless. Okay, that's probably the Multiverse Saga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Avengers Excursion. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Avengers Academy. I don't think that's going to be a movie, but maybe. I don't know. Could be some other kind of thing. Nomad, for anybody who doesn't know, is when Captain America stopped being Captain America. So I'm like,
right.
Ooh, Nomad?
Was that like in response to Vietnam?
I think it might have been.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But I'm like,
I'd like that story.
The name Nomad and like traveling and wandering and all that, you could very easily do a movie of what Captain America did when he was putting those Infinity Stones back. And he's the nomad because he's traveling throughout the multiverse. I'm down for it if that's the case. But it could just be them doubling up on things. Red Guardian Generations. I don't think we need an origin movie about Red Guardian. So I don't think that's going to be necessarily the case. Celestials, End of Time. I don't know what that is, but give me more Celestials. Yes. Avengers, Eternity Wars.
That just sounds so important.
Right? I thought at the time that when they had Infinity War and then they were going to do a time travel thing, I thought that the end game was going to be called Eternity War. Because I'm like, oh, it's Infinity War and Eternity War, and that makes sense. It's, throughout all of space and then throughout all of time. They went with Endgame instead. But Runaways New Era. I don't follow anything with Runaways, so I don't know. But nothing about, no confirmation about the Nova show, about Wonder Man, and most importantly, as far as the why didn't you mention this, nothing about the X-Men.
I was fucking pissed.
No Deadpool 3.
I was very upset that they did not say, hey, X-Men in the MCU, let's go.
It's very curious. And I'm like, okay, technically speaking, D23 is coming up in September. They don't want to just say everything. So, yeah, it makes sense. Maybe they save that. Maybe that's the big thing. If we get, say, I don't know, they got to fill in the Armor Wars, the Werewolf by Night thing. Maybe they announce a season 2 for Moon Knight or whatever. But if they end up just being okay, the big thing. Oh yeah, they didn't say anything about Doctor Strange 3. Clearly, we're getting some kind of Doctor Strange 3.
The Third Eye.
Yeah, so that's what they should call it. Why not? Yeah. Doctor Strange and the Third Eye or something.
By the way, because I know we didn't talk about Doctor Strange on here. Dude, the way I marked out when Xavier shows up and in the background it's just a little that's so good.
That was easily my biggest markout moment of that for sure. I'm thinking that that's what they're going to do though. I think that they're going to be like, hey, look, in D23 we're going to announce Young Avengers. I mean, we got America Chavez, we got all these other characters, Stature, or they might go with Stinger, I don't know, Cassie in Quantumania. All these characters that they didn't announce. We know we're getting a Black Knight thing. Clearly we're getting Black Knight. We know that we're going to get some follow-up of Thor. We know we're going to get most likely a Spider-Man thing. And they might not be able to announce that, I don't know. But I am assuming that they're going to be like, okay, the big thing in D23 is, oh, and here you go, X-Men and Deadpool 3.
Yeah, they have to.
Everybody's waiting for it. And I did see somebody was interviewing. I don't remember who was doing the interview. Sorry for not giving you credit, but somebody was interviewing Kevin Feige, and the guy was like, "So is Phase 10 Phase X? Is that why we're going to get the X-Men?" And he was Kevin Feige's like, "You want to wait that long for the X-Men? I don't." So I'm like,
I appreciate the just the name of Phase X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, Phase 4 didn't have Fantastic Four, so missed opportunity. It's a shame that they couldn't have ended Phase 4 with Fantastic Four. Wouldn't that have been good? I guess no, technically they do have Mr. Fantastic in here, so they still have a presence.
They should have ended or began Phase 4 with the Fantastic Four. These are the puns that we live for.
Right. Live for. There you go. I don't know what they could have done with Phase 5. Whatever, the 5 thing could have been. But Secret Wars is at least what this is all heading toward. And we don't know what's going to be filling in some of those gaps along the way. We don't know if this is going to be full-blown X-Men and this and that and that. But part of me is like, okay, now we know for sure it's Secret Wars. So we can look forward to Kang with the Kang Dynasty. That's going to lead into Secret Wars. I am hoping that they kind of merge a couple things together. I want the Beyonder. Like old school classic Beyonder. And I want the incursions. I want God Emperor Doom or whatever. God King Doom, I think it's what he's called. I want all that shit. They don't have Molecule Man yet. So maybe that's where Wanda comes in. But then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is all going to lead to Avengers Secret Wars. Everybody that's been bitching and complaining that we don't know what's happening with Phase 4, now we know that this is all going in that direction. But what the fuck happens after fucking Secret Wars? I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I'm like, what can possibly be the next big thing?
And that's when Brock Lesnar gets the role of Galactus.
Because like Galactus isn't an Avengers multi-phase setup to me. He's just the main villain in one big story. Like I could see Galactus being the end of one phase, not 3. So the only thing I can think of is this Avengers versus X-Men.
That'd be super cool.
But then again, who the fuck's going to be the Avengers then?
Let me tell you what's after Secret Wars. We're gonna buy DC, and we're gonna do that story where they all fight each other. You ever see that crossover comic in the 90s?
The Amalgam Universe?
Yeah.
Where it's like Spider-Man against Superboy, I think. Or no, is it Robin against Spider-Man?
Yeah, I know it all boils down to like they're basically two gods controlling their universes.
Yeah, the blue one and the red one.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here. That's what's next.
They should, because DC doesn't know what the fuck it's doing. They're just like, yeah, it's a Batgirl show. And it's got people from different multiverses, and shut the fuck up, it's a Batgirl show. Or movie. I don't even know, is this a movie or a TV show?
Batgirl? It's oh, shit.
That goes to show how much DC's failing on this.
I want to say it's a TV show, but it might be a movie. I think it's better off being a movie.
I think it might be a movie. But hey, when your big next movie that's coming out is The Flash, and that's the fucking travesty that is.
Not through any fault of their own, per se.
That's their fault. They can recast. They should have recast. They should have had a better plan for the whole thing.
Well, when you put it that way, yeah, it is their fault. Fuck them.
Yeah. They just happen to have a bunch of problems and also hitch their wagon to a guy who has even more problems than what he needs. But Secret Wars, Kang Dynasty, and all this stuff, I'm pumped. I want to see the Thunderbolts movie. I want to see... Not everything, of course. Like, I don't really care about Ironheart. I'm not going to go crazy over the Marvels, or, to be perfectly honest, Secret Invasion hasn't done anything yet that's gotten me hooked, because the Skrulls have been kind of wasted. But at the same time, I'm like, oh man, Guardians Volume 3. Oh man, fucking Daredevil. You know, like...
Yeah. Guardians 3 is going to be real good. Daredevil, of course. It goes without saying, I'm much more of an animation guy. So, X-Men 97, I need to be out like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
For that matter, speaking of nothing from DC, we didn't get anything on the upcoming Batman cartoon, which sucks. Because, I'm ready for any take on that series. Very exciting. I love the organization. I love that, like, they know where they're going, even if it's not like something that, not everything there is going to be something that I love. I love that they know where they're going. Kevin Feige to run the world, please.
Yeah. I'm excited for these phases. I'm really glad that they announced that far ahead too, and that they didn't just leave it with a little bit of phase 5 to just be like, well, next year we're going to do whatever. You know, give people something to look forward to. Because I remember when they announced a good chunk of movies a few years ago where they were like, hey, we're going to get this thing leading up to Infinity War, and then Infinity War Part 2 that we're not even going to name yet and everything. And people just went nuts. And then it was a couple years worth of, remember, it's all going to build up to this. It's all going to build up to that. So now I can look at this and I can be like, okay, cool. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier show wasn't for nothing. They're just going to be a Captain America movie. Okay, cool. Me watching Echo isn't going to be a waste of my time because Daredevil's in it. And that's going to tie into the Daredevil show. And yay, multiple confirmations that Kingpin's not dead, despite the fact that they shot him at the end of the episode.
Okay, so I have done a little bit of looking, and it appears that there's a comic book, a Captain America comic book called Truth, which is the subtitle of that is Red, White, and Black. So maybe that's where they're going with that.
That makes sense then. Yeah.
In which case, I think Captain America Truth would be a badass title for a movie, and you would get people, you would know where you were going. But yeah, so that seems like where we were going with Red, White, and Black.
They could do their crossover with that and Superman call it Truth, Justice, and the Captain America Way.
Yeah.
I do like, this is completely unrelated to SDCC, but do you know that however long ago, I think it might have been like well over a year ago at this point, but that they changed it and Superman doesn't say Truth, Justice, and the American Way anymore. It's Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow. I'm like, I like that so much better.
Well, yeah, okay, so that's one of those things where it makes so much more sense. But of course, because everything was so Americana and sorry other countries, that's just how we function. Like, yeah, it was Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Of course he doesn't say that anymore. That was weird that he said that, like, in the 80s or 90s. Like, Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Many more people love him.
I mean, all those old-timey Superman things are really going away. He never says up, up, and away. He never says, this looks like a job for Superman, you know?
You know why, though? Because like,
it's lame.
These things, yeah, and when you say these things, you get like a newsy voice in your head.
Yeah, up, up, and away.
This looks like a job for Superman.
He's more powerful than a locomotive. Who the fuck is a locomotive anymore?
It's a bird, it's a plane. Faster than a locomotive.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive. I think that's what it is.
It's Superman.
Those are only good for references at this point. Which, yeah, my Superman blueprint has them all over the place. Where people will be like, hey, what's that in the sky? Is it a bird? No, it's a plane. Yeah, it's Superman. But I'm gonna fly up, up, and away, like, is really not a catchphrase that you can do without being like, what a dork. Yeah.
Well, you can have them do it in like a condescending way, like, come on, Lois, up, up, and away, let's go.
Yeah. Can't be something that's taken fully serious. This looks like a job for me.
Or just like he sees, like he's close to injustice mentality, and he sees it and he goes, ugh, this looks like a job for Superman. Guess I better go.
Even better, he just goes, this looks like a job for Captain Marvel. Fucking Shazam, go out there and do that.
Yeah, go do your job.
But those are like the biggest things from San Diego Comic-Con that I had came across that were the most interesting things to talk about. Way more interested in Black Panther Wakanda Forever than I was before seeing that trailer. Feeling a lot more positive about the MCU than I had been lately because some of these projects in Phase 4 haven't been the best. And DC is really dropping the ball again.
Praise DC. They don't know how to keep the ball.
They're fumbling like crazy. Yeah.
I would have liked more from DC. I'm very excited for the MCU, knowing that we're getting Secret War. And I'm disappointed that there's no live action X-Men announced.
At least not yet. We might have to wait until September 9th.
Yeah, which honestly isn't that far away.
No, I mean, it's, you know, 5 weeks. Yeah, wow. I was going to say it's just 2 months away, but yeah, not even 2 months. So that's going to be cool. I hope that they fill in those gaps. I hope that they fill in even more. And it's not just like, that's it. You know, we're not going to do anything else. I hope that they go, we're going to squeeze in this. We're going to squeeze in that. And we just get these like, I don't love how some of these projects have turned out, but I love that there's almost always a Marvel thing coming out now. Because I miss when it was, I mean, I don't miss, I'm saying, I don't miss when it would end up being like, okay, Thor came out. Now I got to wait half a year for another thing. Nah, give me more.
Always something.
Yeah. A couple weeks from now, I'm going to start Sandman. That comes out August 5th. So that's cool. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be something I'm sure we all watch.
Hopefully it's good enough that it's not just like, man, this is going to be a slag to get through, but it looks cool. So I'm feeling positive about that. And, you know, if you guys have anything else you want to say, drop a comment below, because I'm sure we missed a ton of things. Or if you just want to make an argument for something, if you're like, you know, hey, that interview with a vampire thing looks really good, I'll be like, I really want to hear your argument for it.
Listen, I don't necessarily hear your argument, but I will absolutely respect your right to argue.
So anything else before we round this out that you want to toss out there?
I'm looking up the Batman Cape Crusader cartoon because I was kind of hoping we'd hear more about it by now. But it's looking like that's 2023, so up and await, I guess. That's the worst thing I'll say all year. You're welcome.
You should try to top it. Anyway, if you liked this, let us know by hitting that like button, drop a comment, tell us that. Hit the share button if you want to pass this around to anybody who's interested that you might think is a fan of the podcast and everything. And if you want to make sure that we do more content over on fanboysanonymous.com, take advantage of the Pick Your Poison tier on the Patreon and on the members only for YouTube, because that is where you get to request something specifically. So if you are sick and tired of hearing us talk about how we want to do our Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man villains, or if you really want us to be like, look, I'm going to keep funding you guys to keep doing those Spider-Man watch-alongs, or I mentioned the X-Men one.
Like I'm just gonna say, please fund the Spider-Man watch-along. All right, like we need to do something else, because the Bond watch-alongs were great.
Arafito a kill, so good.
Nearly enough with Fanboys Anonymous this year.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that I haven't had more time to do that. And you can directly sponsor that with that Pick Your Poison tier. But if you can't afford that and you still want to help out, there is toss $5 our way or something like that. And that all is going to help out quite a bit. So the more people that do that, the more content you're going to get over on Fanboys Anonymous. So keep that in mind. And also just stay tuned for whatever is happening next, because I don't know what the next thing is going to be. I know I'm going to be checking out DC League of Super Pets coming up soon, but I don't know if I'm going to do anything for it necessarily.
If I end up watching it, we're going to be doing something for it. But that's if. Because we're just going to make fun of The Rock. That's what it's going to be.
And honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to be all that good.
No, but we're going to make fun of The Rock.
Yeah. So, just follow fanboysanonymous.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out, if you are interested in The Rock and pro wrestling outside of that, go to smartoutmoment.com. And if you follow everything else under A Mango Tree, check that out there. You could also just go to Tony Mango on Twitter and Facebook and elsewhere. If you go to if you go to amangotree.com, you'll get redirected to like a link tree list of a bunch of things. So that's a lot easier that way. But find me there. Follow me on that. And follow Rob over at Dude Felice.
Yeah, I hate that I don't have something cool like a mango tree. Every time you say it, I'm just like, that's it. That's names. They're good. But yeah, follow me at Dude Felice everywhere. Follow me, dudefelice.com. As we're recording this, it's 1:43 a.m. on July 26th. I've been told that by Wednesday, July 27th, maybe that'll be up and running. We'll see. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for lots of things in the future. I just did an interview with a YouTube channel called Tom Talks Rubbish, and that's a lot of me talking about my actual life with a disability, which is not what I thought I was going to get. But that's cool. I'll let you all know when that's out. And just keep following around, and thanks for the support.
Thank you for listening as well, everyone. And we will see you with whatever the next one is. But for now, it's time for us to geek out.